Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is HD Starcraft, and I am back for another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And today I'm gonna go ahead and do another set of games with Jaedong. He is the blue Zerg player in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. And his opponent is going to be none other than Startail Bomber. Hit the wrong button there. Meant to hit Control N, not Control M. Startail Bomber versus Jaedong from Team EG. This is actually from WCS, the finals. This is the grand finals from WCS, and very excited to be able to cast this set of games to you guys. It was actually sent to me into my email at HDreplays@gmail.com, so I do thank the person who sent that in. And I'm told these are a pretty good set of games, and of course, whenever I have an opportunity to cast Jaedong, especially against another Korean of the caliber, like Startail Bomber is, I will take that opportunity to go ahead and do it. So hope you guys are stoked for this one. I very much am. And of course, if you guys have any great replays, feel free to always send them in to hdreplays@gmail.com. I know I've been out and I haven't been casting as much as I said I would. I've just been so busy with a lot of things that have been going on personally, so I haven't really had the time to cast as much as I would have liked to, but I will definitely try to up my upload rate, if that makes any sense. Try to get some more videos for you guys. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get this set started. Jaedong is going to be the blue Zerg player on the right-hand side of the map. And, of course, my favorite Zerg of all time is Jaedong from the days of Brood War. The last game I casted with him was actually a set versus, with him versus, not Bomber, but Polt, another Zerg versus Terran, where Jaedong actually got rocked 4 games in a row in a best of 7. That was not Jaedong's best showing, but he's got another opportunity here in the WCS. This is the grand finals. He's made it all the way here to face off against Startail Bomber, and another Zerg versus Terran. Time for redemption for Jaedong, and will he be able to do it or not? Bomber is going to be going for a command center at the front. I actually haven't casted a game of Bomber in a really long time, so his play style to me now is not I'm not exactly up to date with it. But having said that, most players' playstyles in StarCraft, in the first few minutes of the game, they don't really differ all that much. There's a certain set of builds that a player will follow that have been basically perfected, have been mastered to its, the most efficient way to go for a CC first or a barracks first, a hatchery first, etc. And then it kind of just boils down to your playstyle from there on out. Do you want to go Marines with bio, or do you want to go Widow Mines? Most Terrans nowadays, they mostly go with a Marine Mine style of play against Zerg. And it's very effective because Widow Mines are great against Zerg ground units, Zerglings, Banelings. Not so much Roaches. Hydras are decent against. But a Marine Mine style it's more cost efficient, and it's cheaper than a Marine Siege Tank style. It's much easier to control as well, because Drilling Claws, when you research that, makes it so that mines take only a second to get underground. Whereas if you have Siege Tanks, they take 3 seconds to deploy. Even though nowadays you don't need to research Siege Mode anymore, it still can be it's still harder to play Siege Tank Marine, I think, than it is to play Mine Marine. So that's the kind of playstyle that most Terrans use now. Not saying they all do, but that the majority of them, I feel like they do. And Jaedong, he's got a lot of different things. He can go with an all-in. I've seen him do a couple of those before on 2 bases, Roach Baneling. He actually, I think he did that in game 4 against Polt, when he was just like, I can't beat Polt in the late game. But Jaedong's signature style typically is Mutalisks. That's what I usually see him go with, and he usually crushes Terrans with really advanced Muta play. And right now it looks like he's making a lot of Zerglings. And it looks like these Zerglings are going to make their way into the middle of the map. He's already got one actually here that took some damage from a Marine earlier on. Now, will Bomber be prepared for this wave of Zerglings here? He does have a bunker at the front door. Note that he doesn't have to worry about Banelings. There is no Baneling nest. So it's just Zerglings here coming to the front door, and Bomber's going to be okay, but you gotta imagine that Bomber's going to see those Zerglings and feel a little uncomfortable. He's probably going to think, well, if those Zerglings decide to become Banelings, then my wall is pretty much screwed. So I would imagine here, well, his main base is going to be really well covered. It's going to be pretty hard for Banelings to bust through that. And I guess Bomber here is just going to move out with the Hellions now, and if there were Banelings outside that were morphing, he would know just by having these Hellions rolling around the map, and he's going to realize pretty quickly that there are no Banelings. It's just still the same Zerglings, and those Zerglings are right now trying to get away from the fire, as it is their greatest threat. They are not very, they are, you know, fire is super effective against Zerglings, so... yeah, these guys are going to have to get the hell out of there. And meanwhile, at the front door of Jaedong's base, it looks like he's erecting a couple of evolution chambers. Has a lot of eggs morphing here, and most of those are going to be drones and Zerglings. So he's got just a pretty large army of Zerglings that are making their way onto the map. But he's also droning up too, so this is interesting. And will he go for, you know, Banelings and Aspire pretty soon here? Because I don't see a lair up yet. He does have a third hatchery, but he doesn't have a lair. He is going to try to surround these Hellions, and the lair just now starting, so that's good for Jaedong that he wasn't going to fall behind in technology, and he is going to be able to get a decent surround here on those Hellions. Going to trap 3 of them against the wall, and he might even get the 4th one as well. As Bomber's trying to get out of harm's way, he's going to go run on the creep now, which is not the way you want to go. Obviously, you know, Hellions, they don't slow down on creep, though they should. They don't slow down on creep, but Zerglings speed up on creep. So now that Hellion, basically by going onto the creep, was just saying, I want to die. And that was granted by Jaedong, and Bomber right now is going to be going for siege tanks. He is adding on a starport. This is a more traditional Terran versus Zerg, classic tank marine style here. He's got stim pack, +1/+1 coming as well. Combat shields not researching yet, but probably going to start that up. Yeah, it's actually on the queue right here from the tech lab, and it's starting to research now. So Bomber is going to be going for a traditional Terran versus Zerg opening here, and this is the way that you know, you saw Terran players playing TVZ in Wings of Liberty. Very slow, methodical, none of that Hellbat dropship shenanigans, no Widow Mines. But, you know, that isn't to say he might not add in some of those features later on. He does have an armory coming right now, and that Zergling trying to do the suicide bomber move there and using the enemy siege tanks against the SCV line. But SCVs are pretty sturdy, and they can actually repair themselves as well. That's a handy feature if you're Terran. Yeah, it looks like Jaedong is actually playing a pretty safe game too. I'm a little surprised he hasn't tried to punish Bomber. He is going to be going for 4th hatchery. So it looks like to me that what we're seeing here is, you know, a macro game, Newkirk Precinct. It's a big map. You see the Terran going for a 3rd base early on. As Zerg, typically the right response is just to get a 4th hatchery down as quickly as you can. And that's what he's done here. But there is a medevac here that is going to unload some Marines. Now these Marines don't, actually they are going to finish. Well, look at this, look at the timing. +1/+1 combat shields, all done right now. And those Marines are not going to die to these Zerglings. I mean, they are heavily upgraded, although 2 of them almost falling down there. And it looks like Bomber choosing to save the Marines and going to deposit them next to this hatchery, but there are Banelings here now, and not to mention there are Mutalisks on the way. There's about 8 or 10 of them coming out of the eggs here, and they will be on the map pretty soon. And the thing here is, Bomber, if he stays around too long, that medevac and its Marines will get picked off by the reinforcement Mutalisks. So it's very important here for Bomber to be safe. He now has reinforced his Marines with a 2nd squad, twice the firepower here, not to mention double the healing as well. These Marines are ready to kill, and we do have Widow Mines being constructed as well. Widow Mines being added on for Bomber's mid-game. Not a bad approach at all. Now, will these 16 Marines be enough to handle this many Zerglings and Mutas? I don't think so. And Bomber is going to have to get the hell out of there. Quickly evacuating, but he's got more reinforcements. Look at how many more Marines he's got back at home. Let's just take a look at the Marines. He's got 49 Marines. That's a very sizable army, and his supply is actually toe-to-toe with Jaedong, which is surprising to me. This is yet another Terran versus Zerg, I should say Zerg versus Terran, because we're looking from the Zerg perspective here, where Jaedong doesn't have a huge supply lead over his opponent, but he does, I mean, he does have, you know, the number of drones he should have, 83 drones. He has that hatchery that he needs, the extra hatch. Just seems like his army, it's not as big as you'd expect, but I mean, he does have a lot of Mutalisks here, and you know, Mutalisks, they do take up a lot of supplies, so sometimes they can I'm sorry, but Zerglings, they don't take up a lot of supplies, so sometimes they don't inflate the number as much as you'd like to see. So we'll just have to see what happens here. I mean, obviously I'm not questioning Jaedong or anything like that, but he did lose 4 games to Pult in a row. And, you know, dare I say it, maybe his worst matchup right now, ZvT. Will he be able to handle Bomber here in this grand finals of the WCS? We do have a lot of Marines coming in here, more tanks reinforcing as well. Look at how many Marines there are. Widow Mines are also going to get underground, and Jaedong has to get out of there. He cannot fight Widow Mines. You know, they're just too risky with his Zerglings and Banelings. He needs Baneling speed at the very minimum. +2/+2 on the way. Baneling speed is on the way as well. And we'll see here as Bomber is pushing forward onto enemy creep. I'm surprised he's not dropping a comsat to get rid of the tumors. Very surprising, because now Jaedong can surround. He can get up on the creep very quickly. He's going to bring his Mutalisks in. He snipes off a couple of Widow Mines and a Siege Tank, but takes a bit of damage himself. Now going to bring the Banelings around to the left-hand side. Going to try to surround the enemy Terran army from all angles, but he doesn't really have the best concave nor the surface area, but I think he's just got enough forces to overrun the enemy Terran army. Very nice job by Jaedong. And he is going to be able to destroy everything on the ground, but reinforcing Marines and Widow Mines are coming in here, and Jaedong cannot afford to lose these Mutalisks. That is the backbone, the spinal cord of Jaedong's army relies on the Mutalisks. If the Mutalisks all go down due to one fluke, then it's pretty much GG for a Zerg player. You can easily remake Zerglings and Banelings, although this is not a great example of it, as a lot of Banelings getting destroyed there. But you can easily remake Zerglings and Banelings, not so much Mutalisks. Jaedong has to be careful. It looks like he will have to lose this expansion. Not much he can do about it. He's evacuating drones right now as we speak. And he's just going to have to go in here and destroy this Terran army. And he's going to bring all of his Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutalisks in. And he will be able to destroy the brunt. But reinforcements continue to arrive in. Mines getting underground as well. And the explosive firepower of biological forces mixed in with Widow Mines becoming too much for Jaedong to handle in this game. And unfortunately for him, it looks like he's just going to outright lose. The macro of Bomber really kicking into high gear. It's a continuous stream of Marines, +3/+3 upgrades on the way for the Terran as well. And I think this might be all she wrote here for Jaedong. And yeah, he still has his Mutalisks alive, but he doesn't have fodder units underneath to support them. The spinal cord also needs its needs its nervous system too. And Jaedong GG, so Jaedong is defeated in the first game here against Bomber. Not good. So we will go on to game 2, and hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next cast, and this is HD signing out.